All right. Good morning. Welcome back. Um, uh, I mean, I haven't seen this morning. I think she has maybe been a little too patient with him. Uh, I understand why. Um, I think she's been very good. Um, the she doesn't want this to happen twice. But yeah. So good morning. Welcome to day 12. Um, Judge Darrow said yesterday she hopes to get through the last of the witnesses today. I have a feeling that won't happen. I have a feeling that Brooks is going to have more than one meltdown today, especially if the witnesses don't arrive in the order he wants them, even though he wouldn't tell the prosecution, who was under no obligation to help him, what order he wanted them in or when to have them there, which means if they're not there in his order, it's his fault. But he's going to have a meltdown and blame everyone else. So, with that, we're a bit behind. I built in some time to go into warp speed if we feel the need. But with that, let's jump right into it.
Party intervener in that matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept for value and return for value on the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments, and I would like to make a reservation of
Say that in
all my
front of the
rights
jury.
at this time.
All right, thank you. The record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell Brooks is present in
And
person
good morning,
in custody.
Static.
He is wearing street clothes, specifically a suit and tie, and he is wearing a mask.
And I do not consent to being called that name for the record.
Noted. All right, so
And for the
Mr.
record,
Brooks called
she
a
still
witness
doesn't
yesterday.
care.
There was an objection. I sustained it, but he also orally moved to dismiss, and I indicated I would take that up outside the presence of the jury. I didn't do that yesterday, so I just want to put on the record that I'm denying the motion without any
That's the
further
state of Wisconsin
consideration
he tried to
or
call.
discussion by the parties. He listed two reasons. One was it had to do when he called the state of Wisconsin as a witness for failing to appear, and then for failing to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. There's no
That's a
legal basis for
12B6
those
motion, a
motions in
civil
law or in fact,
motion.
and so that's why I'm denying them on the record today. I'm not asking for any further commentary or statements on the issue.
I object to that.
And I intend to have you call the next witness. I just want to confirm with the state who is here this morning.
I object to that ruling, Your Honor.
Noted for the
That's
record.
nice.
Present this morning, Your Honor.
I would like a legal finding of fact.
Tonight.
Your Honor, consistent with the court's instruction yesterday
Exactly.
afternoon, we have
Good morning,
President Douglas
Steve.
Kohler, Detective Steve Guth, and Erica Patterson are here now and available.
All right. I expect you to call those first three before we get to any other person, not whatever order you want among the three, but those will be the three people called, and then we'll get to the next people according to the scheduling that I put in place yesterday.
I want to state for the record that I intend to appeal that judicial decision made about the motion to dismiss.
That's nice.
Noted for the record. All right, let's bring the jury out then.
Actually, we did address subject matter jurisdiction. It still has
She
yet to
did.
be proven for the record, and I wanted to address the fact that with this, is it Kohler? Is that how you pronounce the name? Kohler?
We're going to continue with the witnesses. I've addressed subject matter jurisdiction repeatedly. There's a written decision. I stand behind it. You have three witnesses that you subpoenaed. The state made arrangements for them to be here. Whatever order you want to call them in this morning is fine, but those three are here.
That's what I was trying to address right now. I was asking
Okay,
about
go ahead.
the
What do you
name.
want to address?
The Kohler. How do you pronounce the name? Kohler. I'm
I
still
don't know,
having
you'll
trouble.
have to ask the witness.
I'm still having trouble finding the file for that particular witness.
Yeah, call the jury in.
So I don't know how I'm supposed to.
Mr. Brooks, you were well advised. These are your witnesses.
I
that
mean,
the state made arrangements.
He made
You
the
who
list.
was going to be
Why did
called,
he
I
put
that on the
this
record
person on his
yesterday.
witness
So,
list?
Of those three, whatever order you want, but I'm not moving past those three
I didn't
to
say
jump to
I didn't
others.
say anything about moving past the three.
I know that. I'm just
simply
setting the tone for today that we're going to keep moving.
Okay, I simply stated I'm not ready to ask that witness questions if I can't even find the
I
Your
understand.
paperwork.
You should have come
That's
prepared.
You not having your paperwork's on you, not anybody else.
Exactly.
So what am I supposed to ask them?
I can't
Whatever
answer
you
that,
want.
sir. You know that.
That's a rush to judgment. You can't rush me to judgment when I'm notifying the court that I cannot find the record.
Well, you
I
But
did
can't
you
find,
didn't
I
come
can't
yesterday
find the
without
file
your
for
file,
that.
so
I'm saying
I
that
don't think that's the
particular
issue.
witness.
I'll make a record. Yesterday you asked a question, hold on a second. Can you have them step back out? Just a second. Yesterday, you said you did not have a file for one of the witnesses and you did a
That
fine
was-
job from my perspective. So
I did what?
you did a fine job. I just
Yeah,
want to
but
say my
they
assessment,
also
you did a good
provided me
job.
with one sheet for that particular witness at
It's
that
not
time.
the
So I just went off of that
prosecution's
three
job
paragraphs.
to
How
provide you with
prepared or not is
materials.
solely on you, sir. You've had all of this information. Now we're at the end of the third week of trial. These are your witnesses. I presume that you are prepared in whatever way that is.
How
You're
can
not
I
going
be
to hold it
prepared
up.
for? I'm not. So the witness is just supposed to get up there and just. I'm just
No,
like,
I'm
yeah.
not going to have this commentary.
Then don't
today.
call them.
I'm done.
Release
The
them.
jury's coming out. Be prepared
Just
to call
release
them.
the
that's
witness.
a rush to judgment.
That is not a rush to judgment.
It is a rush
Again,
to
I'm done.
judgment.
The jury's
It's
coming
clearly
in.
a rush to judgment if I'm telling you that I don't have the
No,
file.
in
How
my
am I
opinion,
supposed?
you're attempting to delay. So
No,
let's
I'm not.
keep
I'm not
going.
attempting to delay nothing. You want to come check the boxes yourself? You always trying to pull some fast maneuvers.
Mr. Brooks,
And
Jury's
Miss Judge,
walking
Your
in.
Honor.
Mr. Brooks, the jury's coming in.
Yeah,
Show
and
respect to
they
the
deserve
jury.
to know this too. It's still issues that need to get addressed.
No.
We didn't even address
Mr.
everything.
Brooks, I addressed all of the issues.
No, I
You
still
know
had another one that didn't have nothing to do with nothing we just talked about.
If you keep fighting,
There was a whole nother
you
issue that needed to
forfeit
be
your
addressed
right.
that I needed to
And we'll
bring on
address
the
it
record to
later.
your attention.
We'll address it later.
It needs to get addressed now before we go any further because it's an important matter.
I doubt it.
Just like the subject matter jurisdiction is important. That hasn't been proven on the record.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
Just
this is
like the
not
rush to
the
judgment.
time for evidence to be presented or arguments to be made by the
I
parties.
can't
The
even
jury
present
will
any evidence. You won't let me even put
disregard
any evidence in the record.
all of these statements
is a
made
rush to
by
judgment.
Mr. Brooks
You-
at this
fair.
time.
You putting
Right.
evidence in
That's
the
unfair
record
what
The
you're
would
court
mean
will address legal
testifying.
matters outside the
Then we
presence.
need to
Everyone
address
can
the
be
legal
seated.
matter that I was trying to get to before
And
you
you
rush
may call your
everything
next
out.
witness, sir.
I'm not calling any witness until I get an answer, Your Honor. You're a public servant.
Ooh.
You're supposed to be able to answer
Ooh.
simple questions.
Mr. Brooks,
If I'm saying I have to bring
call
it
your
to your
next
attention,
witness, please. That's the
If he
stage.
I have
refuses-
to bring it to your attention.
If he
Your Honor.
refuses to call a
Brooks,
I'm merely
witness,
seeking
Please
to bring
stop.
an issue
Dismiss
to
the
your
witness.
I'm
attention.
telling you to please, I'm asking you to please
And I'm
stop
asking you,
because
can
we have the
address?
jury present
I'm asking
and
you.
we need to continue with the evidentiary phase of this trial. Call your next
I'm
witness.
asking you to address a legal matter, as you said that those have to be taken up outside of the jury.
I will
There
do
was
that
a
at the
legal
next
matter.
break.
There was a legal matter that needed to be addressed beforehand,
I
so
will
we
do
don't
it.
have to take up time,
I will do it
valuable
at the
time
next break.
afterwards to address something that needs to be addressed now. That way,
Mr.
the
Brooks,
court and you
For the
yourself are
third
on
time,
notice.
I will address it at the next break. Call your next witness, please.
he's
Are
getting
you asking me?
desperate.
I'm directing you to call your next witness.
Your Honor, we're not going to move past this, seeing as how you took an oath to protect the Constitution. I have your oath. I have a copy of your oath right here.
He's getting desperate.
The oath that you took, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks, I'd like to continue with testimony.
Sir.
We have witnesses waiting for you. Please call your next witness.
Dismiss
The
them.
oath that you swore
Dismiss
to
them.
protect the Constitution.
If
which
he
you are now
refuses to
not
call
doing.
his witnesses, release them from their subpoena.
So you're going
Call your
against
next
your
witness,
sworn
please.
oath. You're going against your sworn oath.
Mr. Brooks, call your next
As you
witness.
as you notify the jury every time when there's legal matters, we take them outside of their presence.
And we're going to
I
take
didn't-
testimony
I
right
see
now. Call your
one
next
I
witness.
merely
oath
seek
in the
to put you on
courtroom.
notice on the record for something that needs to be brought to your attention
And
and
I
to the
will-
court's attention.
And I will address it at
That's
the
what
next
I'm
break.
really seeking to do, is something that shouldn't have to wait because it'll take up valuable time later. At least if I notify you
And
right
yet
from
you're
the
wasting
onset, you'll
valuable
already
time
know what
now.
we're looking at, and we can nip it in the bud before everything starts to roll. And
Mr.
then
Brooks,
it gets
I will
overlooked.
address it at the next break. If you want to write something down, that's fine, and give it to my clerk. I have nothing in writing. I know there's witnesses available and ready to go. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, Your Honor, you have to answer this question. You're
Mr.
making a
Brooks,
judicial determination.
Call your next witness, please.
You're rushing me to judgment, Your Honor.
There's no rush to judgment
There
here,
is a rush
sir.
to judgment. If you won't address a legal issue that I informed you that I had some legal issues that needed to be addressed before you just run right past that, Your Honor. You're a public
Mr.
servant.
Brooks,
Are you not a
it is
public servant?
9:37.
She's not your
Call for
It's
servant.
8:37.
Sorry, 8:37. You're right. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, you're rushing me to judgment.
There's no rush to judgment. Call your next witness,
We had
please.
a legal matter that needed to be addressed, and I'm merely trying to
And I'm
notify the court.
telling
at
you
the
I'm denying the
onset-
request to address it at this moment. Call your next witness.
You said what?
I'm denying your request to address it at this moment. Please
How
call.
can you deny
please-
something that we're supposed to do before
Mr.
the jury
Brooks.
even comes out?
You say.
Call your
I'm
witness.
not seeking to be disruptive. I'm just seeking to
That's exactly
understand
what you're
why
doing.
we do this every
Everyone
day.
is in the courtroom waiting for you. Please call your
Your
next
Honor, we
witness.
do this every single day.
You do
We've
this
done it
every single day.
So I'm simply trying to make sure that the court is notified of
Put it
things
in
that need to
writing,
be
hand it to the
discussed.
bailiff, and if I deem it important enough to interrupt the witness, I will, but call your next witness.
How can I call a witness and write something down and do
You can
both?
take a minute
This
to
is the-
write down what it is.
This
I'm
is
not
the
asking
reason
you
why
to,
it needed to be addressed beforehand.
Mr. Brooks,
That way
the
it
jury
doesn't
is
become an
remaining in
issue.
this courtroom. Call your next witness, please.
Your Honor, you're rushing me to judgment.
There's no rush to judgment, sir.
Are you not a public servant, Your Honor?
Mr.
Do
Brooks,
I not
not
have your oath
your
of
under
servant.
90611, this court has the authority, as you
Do I
know.
not have?
Call-
Is this not a copy, or I asked for certified copies that you said on
He's
record that you
that's
would
it.
not provide
He's
for
just-
no good reason?
He's trying to
These are
exert power.
Sir,
three of your
you are
oaths.
doing this,
right
and I've
here.
repeatedly told you, you can see the jury's here.
You're
You're
doing-
doing this.
Listen,
We
Your
need to go
Honor, I'm not
forward.
attempting.
Under
not
90611,
to delay the
you
proceedings.
can just
I'm
say,
not
all right,
to be
evidence is
disruptive.
over.
I'm merely trying to
If you're not going to call
notify
witnesses,
Your Honor
we're
in
done.
the court for the record beforehand. That way, everyone's at least on notice of the issues that need to be taken up.
It doesn't,
Instead
though.
of waiting until a break or a lunch and things of that nature, which
In
kills
my
valuable
discretion,
time.
it's my authority. It's the courtroom that I'm
Your Honor.
presiding over. I'm not going to address
Is
that
this-
at this
Is
moment.
this not your
And I'm
oath?
not going to
Did
answer
you not
questions.
swear as a public servant that you will protect the
Mr.
United
Brooks,
States Constitution?
Call
Did you not do that?
your
3
witness.
times. I have all of them here. Your oath, Your Honor, as a public servant. And
Mr.
now you're
Brooks,
rushing me to judgment
there's no
when
rush
I'm
to
doing
judgment.
things lawfully by trying to
No.
notify you and
No.
notify the court of issues that need to be addressed
Mr. Brooks,
beforehand.
We are in
These
the
were issues-
evidentiary phase of this trial.
Your Honor, you're
Call
rushing
your
me to
next
judgment.
witness.
You're rushing me to judgment, Your Honor.
Shut up.
And I
Call
object
I'm
your
to
aware
that.
witness.
of 3 witnesses
I
who are
object-
here.
I object
Call
to
one
that.
of them, please.
Your Honor, I object to that.
Your objection's noted.
And
for the
I
record.
want a legal reconsideration of your ruling. If not, I reject that ruling and take exception to that ruling.
I understand.
I request a legal or factual basis for your ruling, a written judicial finding of fact and conclusion.
And you're
of
not
law for
getting
your ruling.
one.
And if not that, an interlocutory, declaratory appeal for this matter. And if not, these need to be stayed
No.
until this matter is before a adjudicated court of competent jurisdiction. Because we have not proven jurisdiction in this court as of yet. Subject matter
Clearly, he
jurisdiction
met
has
with
not
his
even been proven
jailhouse
on the
lawyer
record,
last
Your Honor.
night.
I don't even know the true nature and cause of the
Mr.
charges
Brooks,
against me. I don't even understand that part
I
of it.
understand
I haven't
your
been
request.
provided a complaint. I haven't, Your Honor, there's so many issues.
Mr.
and
Brooks,
I'm not attempting to
Mr.
be
Brooks,
disrespectful in any way.
we
I'm
need
not
to
attempting
continue.
to delay the
Your
proceedings in any
requests are
way.
denied.
I mean, he's
Your Honor,
an
I
And I'm gonna
respectfully
instruct the
object.
jury at
incredibly
this
stupid
point to
person to
disregard
begin
I
with.
and
respectfully
not
object
consider
to that,
any
Your Honor.
of what has just happened since
I
you
think
walked in. It should not
he
be
really
held
is
against Mr.
just
Brooks in any way.
a jackass.
These are legal issues that this court may or may not need to address, but they do not bear in any way on ultimately the issues that you as jurors will have to decide. And I'm instructing you, I'm to disregard what you have just heard and seen.
Your Honor, with everything that I just said, be made part of the record.
It's on the record. I'm telling the jury that it shouldn't affect anything that they're doing in any way.
Your Honor, it's
With that,
it's a rush to judgment.
Mr. Brooks,
Call your witness
Your Honor, I
or
just
rest
showed
your
oath
case.
that you swore to took. You swore you
Mr.
did
Brooks,
this, Your Honor.
please call your next witness.
You took these oaths of offices. You did, Your Honor, 3 of them.
I understand my oath,
Which is
sir,
very,
very
very
well.
commendable that that you decided to be a public servant in these type of
Once
matters,
again,
Your Honor. I
that
respect it.
does not make her
fullest,
your
but
servant.
also
You
it-
do not
you
control
have to
her.
uphold these oaths that
All
you
right, I'm going to have
took,
to
Your Honor.
excuse the jury since Mr. Brooks
You
is
have
not
to-
calling his witness.
you
We'll
have to-
hopefully
you have
bring
to-
you back out shortly.
You have to
All right.
honor these oaths of offices. have
You
to
don't
as a public
determine
servant, Your Honor. I respect
how.
you being a public servant.
You don't determine how she
This
honors
is
her
not
oath
to take
of
a shot
office
at you in any
or
way,
her oath
but these
of
issues
Mr.
office.
that
Brooks,
I have,
stop. Please
they
stop.
need to be addressed. They need
I'm
to be.
excusing the jury. Can you please stop?
Morning,
This is
Darlene.
a rush to judgment. This is a clear bias.
I'm
Mr. Brooks,
sure
you are to stop
that I will
talking.
go to warp speed.
Are you asking?
This
me?
isn't.
I'm advising you, or
This
you will
isn't
forfeit your right
the
to be
time for
present
it
in
yet.
this
So you're holding
courtroom
me
for
in
the
contempt.
questioning of your first witness.
Because you're holding me in contempt.
I'm not holding you in contempt.
Then how can you remove me from the courtroom when I haven't given consent?
Mr. Brooks, I'm
can you do
advising you
that?
at this moment to call your next witness, or you will forfeit the right to call these witnesses.
Exactly.
You can't take my
Under
Sixth Amendment
906.11,
right.
you
You
are
cannot-
refusing to
you
call a witness.
I didn't refuse anything, Your Honor, and you can't deny me my Sixth
I'm also
Amendment
on
right,
about half
which is
speed,
Mr.
to
Brooks,
call
do you want to
witnesses,
be present?
but that
in
built
this
in a
courtroom
witness.
buffer
while
to
you
go to
question
warp
your first
speed.
witness? Because it is now 8:44, and you've consistently talked in front of the jury who's no longer in this courtroom on issues that you have been advised and are fully aware are not relevant to their determination, despite what you
This-
believe the
This
law
didn't have anything
is.
to do with the jury,
subject
Your Honor.
matter that is what you referenced in front of the
I
jury, and then you
that
referenced
after I
my
had
oath.
raised the issues that I was
Subject
trying to
matter
raise.
jurisdiction, as you know, is not
As I
something
don't
the
know.
state has to be. The
It
state
has
must
to be
prove.
proven. It has to be. And
You are
if it doesn't,
frankly
show me
confusing
lawful law.
civil
Show me lawful
jurisdiction
law,
in
Your Honor.
federal cases with criminal court jurisdiction in the state of
You
Wisconsin.
don't have
Exactly.
criminal-
That
you
has
don't
been
even
made
have-
abundantly
You don't
clear.
have subject matter jurisdiction.
She does.
Personal jurisdiction.
Mr. Brooks,
She
or personal
absolutely
jurisdiction. You
does.
don't. You haven't proven.
you have not,
You
I
haven't proven
excuse
for the
the
record.
jury. I'll give you the opportunity to raise whatever issue it was, but you need to do it now or we're moving forward.
That's what I want to do.
Then
That's what I
do
was
it.
attempting to do.
Then do it.
And if you interrupt me one more time, you're going to go do it from the other courtroom.
And
Because
so
you're
holding
being
me in contempt.
all right. He can go to the other courtroom and we will address these issues because
holding
you
me in
are
contempt?
not being respectful. You are disruptive. You are interrupting. I will give you one more opportunity. Don't interrupt me again. Don't roll your eyes at me. Don't sigh at me. You have delayed these proceedings now by 15 minutes because of your nonstop commentary. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to listen to you. What issue do you want to raise, sir?
So are you letting me make an offer of proof of my appeal?
No,
He
because
does
that's
not.
not what's relevant at this time, sir. If you don't need to make an offer of proof. Tell me what the issue is. You said
Okay.
you have a legal issue you want to raise before we get going. What is that issue?
Okay. The legal issue is this. Detective Casey yesterday testified for the second time under oath in reference to exhibits 13 and 14 that showed the backyard of my mother's home, which he stated that he had been to the home, had seen the backyard, all this stuff, when he did not, in fact, even speak with my mother. It was brought to my attention that my mother, in fact, never spoke to any law enforcement from Waukesha.
That's
Would
not
you like to add her to your
sworn
witness list to
testimony.
call her?
Yes, I would.
That's not
Right, that's
sworn
fine. That's all
She's
I'm
testimony.
willing to come
But that's not something
That's not
we
a
needed to
legal
address.
issue.
It
That's an
needs to be
addressed
evidentiary
because-
issue.
because of the issue of the subpoena. That's the reason why it needed to be addressed. That's the reason why I was trying to attempt to
It
bring
could
it
have
to
been
your
done on a
attention.
break. All right, so
Will I be
You're
Because I
putting,
have-
you're asking me to add Dawn Woods to the witness list for you.
Yes, but I also have a question about the subpoena
The subpoena for whom?
for my mother. But I would also like to subpoena the phone records so it can be made part of the record.
You're not going to
Of the
get the
conversation
phone
since
records on the last day of evidence.
Prosecution listens to all the phone calls. They should be able to have heard that phone call as well. So they should be on notice of what was said.
I don't know what phone call you're referring to. If
I'm
you're
referring
referring
to
to
a
a
phone
jail
call
phone
from-
call,
I'm referring
Then-
to a jail phone call that was made last night, October 20th, between 7:54 p.m. and
So you
8:10
want
p.m.,
hearsay.
which I'm sure the prosecution has heard by now. And that also brings up the issue of perjury testimony.
No, it
sure,
doesn't.
the way that you will address the issues that you're talking about are to call witnesses to challenge
I mean,
that or to present the
Detective
evidence in
Casey
support
could
of
have
your
gone
position.
to her
You're
house.
telling me you need to
without
add Dawn
talking to
Woods to
her.
the witness list. I approve of
And
that.
where did
You
where
can
did they
fill out a
get the
subpoena, and I'll
video
direct the state
camera?
to serve that upon her,
footage
and at the
from?
appropriate time, we'll have her brought. We'll indicate when in the order of folks she can
I
be
mean-
brought in. So I'll grant that request.
Will I be
In
able-
terms of the
If
jail
it
records,
came from a
you'll have to
Milwaukee
subpoena the
police
appropriate
officer instead of a
custodian or witness who
Waukesha
can
police
testify
officer,
to that.
they still
that's
received
what
it.
I was trying to gain knowledge of. 'Cause
Well, I can't give you advice on that.
I'm
sir.
not trying to ask for advice. I was, is that
That's
legal for
asking
me to
me
subpoena?
for, I can't direct how you do that. I can't tell you how to do that. You are acting
Yeah,
as your
roll
own
your
attorney,
eyes,
and
asshole.
you will need to figure that out. So you have the subpoena forms. You can research the issues. You have access to legal research materials and other things. And
They're
that's
not
how
getting
you'll have
through
to
all the witnesses
address
today.
I accept for value in return for value this document.
Was that a subpoena form? Thank you. Is there any other witnesses you're asking to add to your, and you can also call Detective Casey if you want, just so you know.
So that make 3 times he's able to testify?
If you believe he has information that he hasn't
You
testified to, I will give
can
you
call
permission to
him.
as well.
No, I don't think it'd be necessary. He know what he did.
Well, in any event,
He know what he didn't do.
we're gonna bring the jury back out.
He knows
And then
what
I
he
expect you
did
to call a
and didn't
witness.
do.
And
You don't.
and just so I'm clear, because I was trying to get to that issue, what witnesses are here? Because I don't have the
She told
I
you.
don't have any paperwork for Kohler. I don't know. how to
Douglas
pronounce
Kohler,
it.
Stephen Guth, and Erica Patterson. Of those three, I expect you to call one of those witnesses.
I accept for value in return for value this document.
For the record, Judge, Attorney Witchow just handed to the defendant for his benefit the police report as it relates to the statement of Douglas Kohler, since he's claiming he does not have it.
Since I know that I don't have it. So let's make that record correct.
You don't have it with you in the courtroom is what you're saying.
I can't find it anywhere.
That's
You've had it
your
previously.
problem.
Yes, I had
And
it
the
at one point.
prosecution just gave it to you, which they didn't have to do. They've already provided it as evidence. They don't have
Are
to
you ready to
help
proceed
you.
forward, Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
They're just trying to
All right,
move
let's bring the
forward.
jury out.
The shock cuff is about 2.5 feet too low on him. He's got hatred in his eyes.
Jen.
Zach, can you help Jen?
Thank you, everyone. Please be
Yeah.
seated.
I think he's just getting more and more
Make sure,
desperate.
don't
He
block
sees
any
the
of
writing on the
microphones or
wall.
anything. Both of those microphones should be on. You want to make sure that.
So his antics are just
Thank you.
at 11, trying to
Right. Go ahead, call your next
force a
witness.
mistrial or something.
Yeah, the defense calls Douglas J. Kohler.
All right. Good morning, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is up toward me, up one riser, and to my right. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that
I don't think we heard from him on the prosecution's case.
Thank you, sir. Have a seat.
I think he's a new witness.
First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Douglas Kolar, Douglas Kolar.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Good morning, Mr. Is it Kolar?
Kolar.
Kolar. Good morning, Mr. Kolar. I want to direct your attention to November 21st of 2021. Do you recall that evening pretty well?
Fairly well, yes.
Well, let me back up for a minute. First of all, what do you do for a living?
I'm an IT director for a law firm.
Been doing that for a long time?
I've been in IT for over 20 years.
Yeah, that is a long time.
Stop with the commentary.
Directing your attention back to the night of November, evening of November 21st, 2021. What did you do that day?
Well, that day I was preparing my daughter to march in the parade with her dance troupe. Watched football earlier in the day.
Extreme dance
got her
group,
dressed,
I
and,
assume.
we had to change our plans last minute because my son was not feeling well. So it was just my daughter and I that went to the parade.
And do you recall what time you arrived at the parade?
It was at least an hour before the start time of the parade.
And do you recall where you were positioned at?
Positioned.
I moved with the dance troupe. So I
Kind of going with the flow.
correct.
Almost like he was there to see his daughter, not the
And
parade.
at some point, you observed something happening. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Not
Do
just
you
the
recall what
parade.
that was?
Well, after my daughter had finished and I was walking back to our vehicle to go home, I noticed as we were approaching White Rock, which is what we were parked off of, I noticed a vehicle coming through where the parade participants were going. It was a red vehicle. It was honking its horn. It passed.
So again, he's just calling witnesses that can testify that he honked his horn because a honk of the horn
Past a
excuses murder.
between two of the groups, it veered to the left and went around the next group on the left-hand side, at which point a police officer attempted to approach the vehicle.
That's probably Detective Casey.
That police officer had reached for the door handle.
We've heard from him.
At the time of that approach, the vehicle started to speed off.
I just want to back up just a little bit. You stated that you heard the vehicle honking its horn.
While it was on White Rock Avenue, it was honking its horn.
In your opinion,
He's not an opinion witness.
did the vehicle appear to try to avoid hitting people?
At that point, yes.
At that point,
And you made reference to it the vehicle coming in contact with an officer. Did you see where the vehicle went after that interaction with the officer?
There was no contact between the officer and the vehicle. The vehicle attempted to make contact. The officer attempted to make contact. But after that attempt, the vehicle sped southward. You know, I know those streets don't go
All right.
or south.
1.5 time.
Street.
Did you notice the vehicle strike anyone at that time?
I did not.
And what did you do after you saw the vehicle? Once it was out of your view?
Once it was out of my view, I grabbed my daughter and walked as fast as I could to my car.
And
Half speed
to
and
the
he's
best of your
still
recollection,
buffering.
how would you describe the vehicle?
Or 1.5
as far as
speed.
make and model? To the best of your recollection.
To the best of my recollection today, I only remember a red SUV.
At some point, did you report to law enforcement officers what you had observed that evening?
On the Tuesday morning following the parade, I sent an initial statement to the police.
Would that have been the Waukesha Police Department?
Yes, it was to the Waukesha Police Department.
I mean, these questions are basically the impeachment questions he was
Did you-
trying to ask
You said you
on
sent this
cross-examination.
statement. Did you speak with anyone verbally?
Initially, no, I did not.
At some point, did you speak with someone verbally?
Yes,
And was that sometime after the Tuesday statement that you initially gave?
yes. Approximately 2 weeks after I made my statement, I was contacted by someone with the Waukesha Police.
Do you recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows?
I believe the rear windows were tinted like most SUVs are.
And after you had verbally speaking with law enforcement, did you do any
After
follow-up
you
on the
had
reports,
verbally
after that?
speaking
Yes.
with law
The
enforcement.
officer that I spoke to had advised me to add to my statement the items that we had talked about.
Actually, the law enforcement officer asked you to add certain things to your report?
He had asked me some questions, and the questions that we talked about on the phone, he asked me to add to what I had initially submitted.
And after that conversation, did you have any further conversations after that point?
I had no further conversation after that point.
Had you yourself been contacted by any further law enforcement after that point?
No.
So it'd be fair to say that you were subpoenaed to testify at some point.
By
Is that fair
you.
to say?
Yes,
Do you recall when you received that subpoena?
I received my subpoena last Tuesday,
The 18th?
whatever day last Tuesday is.
Do you recall whom you received that subpoena from?
You.
The Waukesha County Sheriff. Or
Do you
one
recall-
of the sheriffs,
I'm sorry.
or one of the sheriffs.
As in the sheriff served the subpoena. The subpoena was
And
from Brooks.
did you do any follow-up information once you received the subpoena? Like for example, sorry, for example, calling the district attorney's office?
I did not call the.
Why
district
would
attorney's
he?
office.
They didn't
I
call
reached out to the
him.
Clerk's office to see if there was any further information.
The DA did not subpoena him. You did. Why would he call the DA's office?
Were you or your daughter injured in any way during this incident?
No, we were not.
I mean, good job, Brooks. 3,000 people, you only injured 60. You should get a medal for all the people you missed.
No further questions at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Ross.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Cole.
Morning.
Thank you for being here. To be clear, sir, the subpoena you received was issued on behalf of the defendant, Darrell Brooks, correct?
I don't know. That information was not filled out on the subpoena.
Oh,
You did provide
probably
a
because
written
he
statement
refused to
Waukesha
put his
Police
name
Department,
on it.
Objection, lead.
correct? And-
He can lead. She can lead. It's
Let me read it
cross.
first before you answer, overruled. Go ahead. And his answer, I believe he answered it, but if not, did you answer it?
I'll ask again.
Thank you.
You did provide a written statement to the police department, correct, sir?
Objection, leading.
She can lead.
90611, so 2.
She's told
Yes, I
you
provided written statement.
multiple
In
times.
that statement, you described the SUV
On
as
cross,
driving erratically down
you
White
can
Rock Avenue,
lead.
correct?
Objection. Didn't testify to that. That was asked and answered.
She hasn't axed
Overruled
it.
is my answer, and it's sub 3, not sub 2, by the way.
Yes, just the event of driving past some participants on the right and then veering to pass an next group on the left.
You said at that point, when the vehicle was on White Rock, it was honking its horn, correct?
Correct?
There was no objection. You can answer.
And you saw an officer run up and try and open the door to the vehicle, correct?
I don't know that he was trying to open the door, just trying to.
He
I don't know
was.
what he was trying to do. He ran and his arm had gone towards the
He
door.
was.
Okay.
That
And that
officer
was at the intersection of
testified.
White Rock and Main Street, correct, sir?
Yes,
And you got a look at the driver of the car, correct, sir?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. Witness may answer.
yes, I did.
And you described the driver in your written statement as a black male with dark dreadlocks and visible tattoos. Is that correct, sir?
Objection, leading.
She can lead.
Witness may
Stop.
Yes,
Is that consistent with your memory, sir?
Objection, speculative.
answer. Overruled.
that is consistent with my memory today.
He's desperate.
Once the vehicle went past the officer, you indicated that you saw it accelerate or speed off. Is that correct, sir?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. 90611, sub 3.
Yes, at that point, it sped away.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Any redirect?
Briefly,
Go ahead.
He does nothing briefly.
referring to the written statement that was just testified to the best of your recollection, do you recall stating that the SUV was a older model red Chevy Blazer?
I do recall putting that down at the time. That was at that addition that I added 2 weeks later.
It's going to be
So at the time-
brutal.
At that time, during the evening of the incident, to the best of your knowledge, that would have been your opinion of the vehicle that you saw.
Red SUV. Not everyone knows
That
a Blazer from an Escape from whatever.
I just remembered the red SUV.
He said, if he
the
said
best of your
like a
recollection.
Blazer, that means that size, that
What assumption would lead you to describe the vehicle as a Chevy Blazer?
I believe in my assumption, it was just to say it was a older boxy style SUV. And in my mind, that relates closely to a Chevy Blazer.
No further questions.
basically
Thank you.
he's not a car guy. Or at least not an
You also are
SUV
excused.
guy.
Thank you for being here. You may call your next witness.
That was unhelpful.
One second. If I may have just a quick second.
He's going to call Erica Patterson third because he wants to make her wait. And it's going to be brutal. When he calls her, it's going to be brutal.
The defense will call Stephen Booth.
I believe one of my assistants went to retrieve Detective Guth, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And we've heard from Detective Guth before. He testified for the prosecution.
Right, good morning, Detective Guth, if you would, as you are, come to the witness stand, remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk Teresa will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. Please state your first and last name for the record, or names, I should say.
Stephen Guth, Stevenguth.
Go ahead, sir. You were
How long have you been in law enforcement?
Over 20 years.
And how long have you been a detective?
Just over 7 years.
Directing your attention to the evening of November 21st of 2021. Do you recall that evening?
I do.
And were you on duty that evening?
Not initially.
For more clarification, what do you mean by not initially?
It was a regular off day for me, but I received notification to respond to the police department for the mass casualty incident in the downtown area of Waukesha.
So at that point, I'm assuming you were dispatched to that location?
I was not dispatched. I received a Signal message. We use Signal. It's an app that's used that we can share information for investigations. I received a Signal message that this tragedy just happened.
And so what did you do from that point?
I immediately dropped my wife and kids off and responded to the parade.
And when you got to the parade, what did you do at that point?
I went to the downtown area to assess and see what I could help with.
At some point during your investigation, did you make contact with the woman by the name of Eric Patterson?
Yes.
And what was
I
the nature
mean,
of that,
The jury should
That
have
part of your
heard it.
I wanted to speak with Erica Patterson because
But
by that point, when I made contact,
He
with
was
her,
warned, he was
Command
told to
center.
stop.
they had learned the name of Darrell Brooks and had learned that Erica
His
Patterson was
fault.
the estranged girlfriend of the suspect of this investigation.
you made reference to a strange girlfriend. What do you mean?
I don't know if I should answer that.
He's opening
I
the
think
door.
Question was pertaining to the word estranged, but we'll move on.
You're opening the door,
Jury has discarded that
asshole.
last question that has been withdrawn. And the statement made by Detective Guth following it.
I'm assuming at some point you took a statement from Ms. Patterson.
I did.
I
Do
mean,
you recall if it was recorded?
he explains it estranged. He's going to say, well, you weren't together at the time because you beat her previously.
Well, her words were spoken and they were recorded.
But he knows that's been excluded. But
Did you-
once
did you prepare the
again,
report that same
Brooks
evening?
opens the door.
When did you prepare the report?
If
Sometime
Brooks
after the
opens the
22nd of
door,
November.
it's not the detective's job
Same evening.
to say, are you sure you
Because
want to
after I
open
spoke with
that?
her, I wanted to go back and speak with her again.
Did you obtain any statements from any other people that may have been involved with Ms. Patterson?
I did not.
Do you know, to your recollection, if any other officers have taken statements from parties that may have been involved with Ms. Patterson?
Well, the night of November 21st, 2021, I did have a partner with me, another detective.
Do you recall him talking to any other parties that may have been involved with Ms. Patterson?
Well, the detective that was with me was a female, Detective Barron.
The question was, do you know if your partner
No, the question was, did
had any
he?
interactions with parties that may have been involved with Ms. Patterson?
I don't believe so.
Hold on,
but
are
I
you
can't-
specifically referring to a date certain or just in general?
I think it was.
I need it clear for the record,
The
though.
date would be
On the 21st?
21st.
Okay.
Of 2021.
Thank you, with that clarification.
Then ask
No, I don't
clear
think so.
questions. Don't get mad when you're asking
Did you
for
learn at any
clarification.
point that there may have been other parties involved with Ms. Patterson?
In which incident?
I'm referring again to November 21st.
Don't
of
roll
2021.
your eyes.
Yes.
Do you recall who those parties were?
Corey Runkle and Nicholas Kirby.
Did you yourself speak with either of those parties, Nicholas Kirby or Corey Runkle?
No, I did not.
Do you recall if your partner spoke with any of those parties?
Which partner?
I'm guessing the female partner that you made reference to.
No, she did not.
And in that recorded interview with Ms. Patterson, what did you learn about the evening of November 21st, 2021?
Which recording?
Are there multiple recordings?
Yes.
What
Wow.
did you learn
He should have prepared.
about the evening of November 21st, 2021 from both recordings with Ms. Patterson?
Your Honor, I'm going to object at this point, as this testimony covers ground that was very clearly covered during the state's case in chief.
I'll give Mr. Brooks some leeway. You are asking for hearsay, though. You understand that.
I asked him what did you learn.
Fair enough.
Sometimes
I learned several things.
that's a win.
Initially, I think is what you were getting at. Ms. Brooks wanted to report that she was injured by Darrell Brooks on November 20th, which would have been Saturday. She stated that she met with Mr. Brooks at Frame Park, and they were arguing over the fact that she did not give him money. And he injured her by slapping her in the mouth and punching her in the eye.
And we saw the black
Next day,
eye.
I went back and talked to her again, and she clarified that that actually did not happen on the 20th. It happened on the 21st. And that she got in a motor vehicle with him over the same argument. He was mad that she did not provide him with money. He
Or bail.
proceeded to try to take her phone because he thought she was talking to other guys. Slapped her in the mouth, punched her in the eye. She jumped out of the motor vehicle because she feared for her safety and made her way back towards Frame Park. While walking back towards Frame Park, she was calling her friends, Corey Runkle and Nicholas Kirby, to come help her. When she arrived back near Frame Park in front of White Rock School, there was a confrontation in front of White Rock School with Mr. Brooks, Erica Patterson, Corey Runkle, and Nicholas Kirby, where there was some kind of shoving match. And that's when Mr. Brooks got back into the motor vehicle and took off down White Rock towards Main Street. Erica Patterson then made her way back towards the Women's Center.
You made reference to being told about an incident from Saturday, November 20th. And then stating that in the second interview, Ms. Patterson stated that it didn't happen. Is that correct?
She didn't state that it didn't happen. She just stated that she didn't drive around with him on Saturday, November 20th. But she also met with him and was slapping him off that day too.
If it pleases the court, I have a document here I would like to show the witness.
All right, if the bailiff could move to the state first to look at it. You may use the document camera.
He looks so smug right now.
Otherwise, the bailiff can take it to the witness.
Before we go through that process, I'm going to object this.
Let me see the document. And give it back to Mr. Brooks, given the content of that document. I'll sustain the objection. Or what that
Grounds?
Sustain on what grounds?
It's not relevant. Yep, to this witness's testimony.
How is it not relevant?
It's not relevant.
You made reference to November 20th. That's what this document is talking about.
It's not relevant to the charges at issue. We can take it up later if need be.
You weren't charged
Directing you to move.
for November 20th.
Your Honor, I'm going to respectfully object to that and ask for finding the fact.
It's not relevant.
The objection's noted. It's sustained. Well, their objection's sustained. Yours is overruled. Please continue.
Is that noted for the record? I would like to read finding the fact.
The request is denied. Keep going, please.
The finding
Your
of
Honor,
fact
on what
is
grounds on what lawful
it's not relevant.
Not relevant.
law? Are you making a judicial determination that you're not?
Shut up
As a public servant?
Sir, I've ruled on the objection. It's on the record.
and quit with the public servant crap.
Information that needs to be known. is-
Clearly his jailhouse lawyer told him to
It's not
start
relevant,
on that
sir.
It's
today.
very relevant. He just opened the door on that by saying November.
No,
Objection, move to strike all of the comments made by Mr. Brooks in the last 20 seconds or so, especially with regard to any implication that he hasn't had all of the discovery material.
Objection, I never made any mention about not having any discovery material. That never
The
was
jury will
stated.
just disregard, as I've told the
Exactly.
jury repeatedly, comments made or statements made by the parties, whether they be lawyers or the parties themselves, are not evidence, and you're to disregard them and not consider them in any way. And if the statement suggested facts that are not in evidence, you should not consider that in any way either. All right, go ahead. Your next question, please.
So is it fair to say that in your report, you referenced 2 incident reports?
Objection, this
Grounds.
witness wrote.
I'm going to overrule the objection and let the witness answer it. I think it might just be semantics at this point, but go ahead and ask your
You
question.
mean semantics?
I think you were referring to that he had two
That's what his report says. He makes reference to two reports, 2 incidents.
incidents,
Yes.
not 2 incident reports. Reports will be separate documents. That's what I'm talking about. With that understanding, that you're referring to, I think you're referring to incidents with Ms. Patterson, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead, ask your question. I think that clarifies, so that the witness can answer.
And let me back up. You wrote your own report, would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And in your report, you referred to 2 incidents. That be fair to say?
Just to clarify, which report are you speaking about? I wrote several reports.
The one written November 22nd of 2021.
I do reference 2 reports and 1 cat call.
What was the last part? Cat call?
A cat call, yes.
What do you mean cab call?
A cat.
Cat.
CAD.
Cat
cat
call.
call.
What do you mean cat call?
That's a call for service. That does not generate a police report.
And what was that cat call?
That was a call for service near Frame Park for a fight involving potentially a domestic related incident.
Do you recall any other details about that CAD call?
There wasn't much in it because the officer had to leave to go to the parade.
Do you recall mention of a knife during that CAD call?
Yes.
To the best of your recollection, do you recall anyone recovering a knife or you yourself recovering a knife?
There was no knife involved in that incident through my investigation of the report that you have.
But it is fair to say that that's how the CAD call went out, that there was potentially a knife fight.
That's how it was initially, I believe, reported or communicated through dispatch to the officers that responded.
He's going to
Made
spend
reference,
half his
and I'm referring to the
time
second interview with Ms.
on the
Patterson,
domestic
They
incident.
reference in
He'll
the
spend
report
more
that
time on that
in the
on direct
previous
than on the
interview,
parade,
that Ms. Patterson was not completely forthright.
because it's the one that pisses him off.
What exactly do you mean by not completely
It's the one
forthright?
that's personal to him.
She did not give me all the details of the incidents to me initially.
And if he can prove, well, she just made me mad enough that the parade deserved it.
Do you recall why?
I don't know why she didn't.
So it'd be fair to say that Ms. Patterson had been untruthful with you in the first interview.
No, she told me she was extremely afraid of you. And that's why she didn't want to tell me everything.
But you just stated that you know why she was not forthright.
I can't read her mind, but that's what she told me.
And once again, we covered this on the prosecution's case. It's not that she was lying, it's that she wasn't. She held things back out of fear. Which people do when they're reporting on domestic abusers.
At any time during your investigation,
Not a
in regards
lie.
to the incident,
It's incomplete information.
Ms. Patterson, did you at any time see interviews that were conducted with Nicholas Kirby and Corey Runkle?
What do you mean by see them?
Had you seen any statements made by those 2 parties?
No.
Would it be fair to say, assuming that those 2 parties were present for the incident on the evening of November 21st of 2021, would it be fair to say that at some point they were interviewed by law enforcement officers, to your recollection?
Yes.
And you've never seen any of those interviews?
They weren't video recorded.
Have you
So
seen any written statements
it's going
or
to be
reports from
bad
law enforcement?
I received a summary of
when
what
he
they
puts
stated
his mom on the
verbally
stand.
from another detective. Yes.
So it'd be fair
And
to
the
say
state
you did
actually
have knowledge
does
of what
bring
they
out
said
his
transpired
phone
on
call
November
to her
21st,
yesterday.
I acknowledge what they said. I didn't
If
see
it says,
Correct.
if it has him saying, I need you to say that such and such happened. I have a good feeling that's going to happen.
And to the best of your recollection, seeing what those 2 parties had said, what do you recall? Grounds.
Evidence, see what they said, and also call for hearsay.
Sustained.
What did you read
Objection.
from those?
He hasn't
statements
called.
given by Mr. Brooks?
Objection. Call for hearsay.
Grounds.
Sustain.
So
Grounds for sustain.
his tantrum this morning was that the detective lied yesterday about talking to his mom and collecting ring video from his mom. So he wants to add a subpoena to call his mom, even though she wasn't on his witness list.
1 second.
And he claims, well, I want to subpoena the jail telephone logs or the actual recorded telephone call with his mom. It's like, hang on, are you sure you want to do that? Because the prosecution's going to use that if
Do you recall
you
what officer took those statements
asked
from
her to testify
Nicholas Kirby and Corey
or
Wood
lie
in
in
relation
any
to the
way.
incident on November
It's gonna be
21st of
bad.
2021?
Yes. Yes,
And what law enforcement officer was that?
Detective Van Els.
At this rate, though, that'll be on Monday. He's not going to get through everyone today. I think it was 9 years older, but yeah, he's
And
garbage.
after that report that you
Morning, Teresa.
wrote on November 22nd of 2021, was that the end of your investigation into the incident of November 21st of 2021?
No.
And what was the extent of your investigation after November 22nd of 2021?
Judge, I'm gonna object. Well, the defendant's behalf, I believe here, based on previous rulings the court has made.
Sustain.
So wait. The prosecution is objecting to the defendant opening the door to prior bad acts. He's really trying to get those in to hang himself.
And did you speak with Ms. Patterson again after filing your report?
Yes.
In reference to the incident from November 21st of 2021?
I don't understand the question.
Did you speak with Ms. Patterson after you filed your report in relation to the incident from November 21st of 2021?
No.
Yes. 1.5 speed. He takes too long. And even at 1.5 speed,
relation
there's
to
buffering time
the
with
alleged
his
incident on
brain.
November 20th of 2021.
Exactly static. I mean, and whether it was the
Do you know if that alleged incident ever took
detective
place?
or Milwaukee
Grounds.
police or
For
whoever,
hearsay, lack of personal knowledge.
it came in somehow.
You reported it.
It also goes to one of the ultimate issues that the jury will need to determine, so it's sustained.
Sure. If they have a call of him asking her to lie for him, they'll absolutely bring it in. I'm glad you're here too, Bruce. And I think it's not that they're being kind to
No
him.
questions.
They
no
just
further
don't
questions
want
right
to
now,
waste
Mr.
time on it.
Thank you.
It's
Ms. Cross.
it doesn't matter.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Both of them don't help. I don't
Take the witness.
I don't understand.
Darrell, please don't raise that on an appropriate break. Call your next witness, please.
I just don't understand. It's bad. And now it's the X.
Is there only one witness left?
Yes. For that, yes, for that time. Yes. I
No
believe-
one else is here?
No, it's not 10:30 yet.
You were instructed to provide a rough timeline. You
You're
didn't.
supposed to come in 10:30, right?
So the
Oh,
court
Please, I don't have that list right. at my fingertips.
instructed you.
So what happened?
I don't have that list right at my fingertips, but I know there's a witness available, so please call your next
Can I
witness.
be provided that 10:30 list?
That's irrelevant right now. You're calling Erica Patterson. She's
So you
here.
have that, you can pass it over. I don't have that at my fingertips.
Sure, let me try to, I have it, but I'll write it up for Mr. Brooks to review, Your Honor.
While we're doing that, the jurors want to stand for a minute, go ahead, or anyone else in the courtroom.
Like I said, he wants to have her out in the hall sweating. He might not even call her. He just wants to control her. It's possible. I mean, he's clearly an aggressive, violent person. And sometimes it's easier to just, oh no, honey, I didn't talk to them.
Paperwork.
Thank you for everyone. Have a seat then. Please call your next witness.
And who determined this order?
The
Mr. Brooks, I'll
judge
take a couple minutes.
did
You know,
because
if I
you
can
refused
there's a
to.
witness available, please call the witness.
That's not the witness that was intended to be called at this time.
I understand that, sir. Under 90611, I have the authority and the discretion on that, so please call the witness who's available.
So I'm being arrested judgment.
No.
No, sir, I'm trying to have an effective and efficient use of all of our time. So please call
Which
the witness.
which is respected, but at the same time,
Exactly.
being
Good morning,
this is
Susie.
my
All
time
right,
to
I'm going to
present my
excuse the
defense.
jury for right now. I'll rise for the jury, please.
This is his fault that the witness he wants now isn't there. He refused to tell the prosecution who to call when. Because remember, it's his job to procure his own witnesses. He refused, and he also refused to give guidance on who he wanted when. So the judge said, all right, these people
I
will
think
be
you can see that-
available at this time.
Mr. Brooks, under 90611, I do
Done.
have the authority and just my inherent authority over this case to require you to call the next available witness. You, in my opinion, were not entirely cooperative yesterday with the process, and so
He
I
wasn't
told you
at all
um,
cooperative.
3 witnesses would come in at 8:30, 2 would come in at 10:30, 2 would come in at 1:30, 2 would come in at 3:30, and then if there were any left, I wasn't sure if there were or not, would come in at 4.
You also didn't provide me with that list,
You were advised on the record,
but
sir.
you didn't provide it to me.
You
Sir, you chose not to
you
write down.
could have written
So
it
that's what I'm
down.
gonna be.
No, that's
So
no, you
here's
can't.
the
That's
thing,
arrested
Erica
judgment.
Patterson is here, so I'm advising you that she will be the next witness that you call if you so choose. If you choose not to call her right now,
She'll
then I'm
be
releasing
released.
her from the subpoena. Because we have
Exactly.
almost 45 minutes until 10:30. Just
Good job,
strictly note
Judge.
that.
Call
And-
her or she's released.
There's no reason for you not to call her. She's on your list. She was on the listing, as I understand it, the groupings of 3, Tuesday
That you
morning,
understand it.
Tuesday afternoon,
Did you
Wednesday
receive it?
morning, Wednesday afternoon, and so on and so forth. That's the order. I told you very specifically, I'm not going to have everyone come in at one time because that's not efficient, that's not effective, and
I
it's
think
not
that's
courteous to them.
an
People
understatement.
have families, people have
Yeah.
jobs and other responsibilities, and we're trying to be mindful of all of that as well while having the state assist you in getting these people here. So I'm advising you that if you don't call her right now, you will forfeit your right to call her.
Is that lawful law?
Yes.
I believe I have the authority. to do that. She's here.
90611.
She's ready to go.
I'm just
She's
asking a
your
question.
witness.
I'm just asking a question. Is that lawful law?
Yes.
I have the authority under 90611 and other rules and the inherent authority of this court to control the order and mode of interrogation.
Your Honor,
Of
why is
witnesses.
it always so hard to just say yes or no? Is
Yes,
it lawful
I have
law?
the authority, sir.
I'm not disputing that.
You just
I'm not
disputed
disputing.
that.
No, I said, I asked the question. Is it lawful law?
Sir, I
That
told you
Michael
what I
Wayne
believe that authority
Parsons
is. If
You
you
told
don't
me
want to
your-
recognize it,
you
that's
told
fine.
me
You
your
want to object
authority.
and note it, that's
told me
fine.
your
The whole
Here's
authority. I'm
authority
series.
not
on the
debating
record.
your
What a
authority. I'm not-
mess.
So I will address one other issue with you because you said you had an issue regarding the last witness.
Yes.
Which is fine. We can address that quickly, and then I'm going to have
Chuck
the
a
jury watch
wobbly
you.
would be
and,
throw a fit.
That will be your opportunity to.
That's-
call
That's a
Ms.
misdirect.
Patterson.
That's a misdirect. What issue did I say I had with the
You
last?
said you wanted to raise an
said-
issue with about
What I
Detective
said
Guzman's
was I
testimony.
might have more questions for that witness. I didn't say it was an issue.
Oh, I didn't hear that, sir. You had your opportunity to ask the witness questions. He's been released.
Your Honor, if I mumble something under my breath, somehow that's audible, but when I talk clearly, somehow
I may
nobody
have
hears
missed
me.
it, but
You're
what I
never
interpreted
clear.
was when you said I may have an issue with this witness. I didn't understand. I guess I didn't take that as you were going to reserve your right to recall him. What would, so
Roll your eyes.
are
Roll
you
your
telling me
eyes.
you'd like to reserve your right to recall Detective Booth?
Yes.
All right, then that will be noted, and we'll keep him under the subpoena. Now, that should address that. I'll have the jury brought back in, and you should be prepared if you choose to call Ms. Patterson. This is your opportunity to do it.
At the same time, though, that's still a rush to judgment, Your Honor. You can't. I shouldn't be forced to call people in the order that I'm being told to when these are my witnesses.
But you
But
didn't
did not
call
provide us with
them.
the order, and I respected
You
that, Mr.
didn't
Brooks.
procure
And
And so
them.
then I asked
Your
you to
Honor,
put
with
him
all
in
respect,
place.
This
with all
is
respect, did I
your
inform Your Honor in
fault.
the court that I would not give a specific order? I stated that numerous times.
And Mr. Brooks,
Numerous
I have
times.
authority to tell you otherwise.
I
You may not
did-
like it, you
I
may
did.
disagree with
Yes.
this.
It's not
You
about
have
that.
been-
It's about the rush
You
to
have not been
judgment, Your Honor.
cooperating with this process. The
There's
state
nothing
has
to cooperate
graciously
with.
agreed
And
to
I'm
assist
sure-
you given your custodial
sure they're-
status.
Okay, and that's
Yes.
and I never asked them to do
Frankly, any
that.
attorney in this
I never
Yes.
asked them to
situation
do that, Your Honor.
would give us the order.
That is
Did I-
good
did I
French
not-
static.
Did I ask them to do that?
Well,
I did not ask them to do that.
yes,
They
you
volunteered.
did.
They offered,
So at the end of the
but-
day-
but we expect.
But
If
you
they didn't want to do
refused
it,
to
yeah, but
do
that
it
wasn't one of the
yourself.
stipulations when they offered to do it, Your Honor.
You
Let's be-
refused
No common
to
courtesy
do
is
it
to
yourself,
Okay,
and
but
you
it wasn't stipulated
refused
to, so I didn't have.
You are well
to
advised.
give them the
of how
information they
this process is
needed
gonna
No, I
to
was
do
not.
it how
It is
you
normal
wanted.
in a trial
You can't
to call
put the people.
witnesses
You can't
out
put the
of
people
order
in a
based on
specific
their
spot for me,
availability.
Your Honor. Come on now.
Well, then
That's
you
a rush
should
to
have
judgment.
done it
There's no rush to
yourself.
judgment here. You
Did the
keep saying
state? Did the
that,
state
sir,
have to
but
put
that's
their
not the
witnesses?
case.
Your Honor, with all due respect, did the state have to put their witnesses in order and tell me?
It's irrelevant what the state did. in
Did they
that
have to
regard.
do that?
They didn't
They
need your assistance to do that.
Did they have to do it?
they scheduled
No, they
them
I didn't have to be
them
provided
themselves.
with. We're going to call this witness at this
If
time.
But
you
they are
this
able
witness
expect
to
at this
someone
time.
else
contact
They
to
their
didn't have to do that.
witnesses
So
schedule
why
your
should I have to do that?
accommodate their
witnesses,
schedule.
you
This
have
is not
to
about you. It's
go
not about
by
the
that
state. It's about the
schedule.
witnesses
It's about what's fair.
availability.
It's about what's fair.
No, frankly, sir, it's about you trying to control what's happening. in this
Exactly.
How am I controlling? What's I'm the one
Exactly.
shackled to the table with
So
a
here's the
with a shotgun
situation.
Judge
on my
gets
leg.
it.
9:52.
So how's I'm trying to control anything?
I'm
I
having
just
it-
want this
I'm
to be
going
fair,
through
and it
it.
hasn't been fair.
Mr. Brooks, it's fair.
No, it's not. If I have to do something that they don't have to do, how's that fair?
It's fair
Explain to
because
me how
of
that's
the
fair.
process that has been set up to frankly help you.
No,
mean,
it's not helping me by it's helping the state
And no,
by being able to say if we know the time and we know
You
the
did
person
not-
and
I
we know this,
asked you-
then we can be prepared.
well,
So
you
we're
could
already
have
ready.
done
That
it
was the whole aim of
yourself.
that.
And I would have had her come in
You
later. You didn't
could
wanna answer
have
that
done it
question.
there was no
yourself.
question. There was no question to answer.
That's not
I
true.
did what you asked me to do, Your Honor. You
No, you
said
didn't.
yes, you did. You did. You asked me to give them my witness
Mr.
list.
Brooks,
I gave them my witness list.
Yesterday,
It's not my fault.
I'm very
It's not my fault. They
Uh-uh.
weren't going to be prepared.
You
to do
were
their-
Here's the
to
deal.
do
The
their
jury's
work.
coming
Why
out, and I'm going to stand my
decided
ground
it
on this.
a
I'm
witness?
going to
Okay,
stand my
it
ground
is-
too, but I'm
if
not
you
going to
don't
be
call
disrespectful or disruptive.
If you
I'm just
don't
stating I
call
wanted to be
her
fair.
when the jury comes back out, I'm releasing her from the subpoena.
You can't do that.
For your
Where's
lack
the
of
lawful law?
cooperation.
Where's the lawful law? I have the right to
You
witness
have
Oh,
to
yeah.
cooperate with this process.
but I also
sir.
have the Sixth Amendment
No,
right.
We have a witness
I
available.
mean,
for
I'm
you to
sure they're
call. I
talking
can
about
require
It's
you
not
to
the
call
witness
her
that should have
now.
been called at this time, Your Honor.
It is based on the list that you provided and.
That
in
didn't
the
have a
order.
time. That didn't have a time or
I'm not going to play
order.
this game.
Well,
with
It's not no
you-
game. That's what you don't seem to
have
understand.
called them in.
I don't care what you believe fully.
All right.
It's not a game.
We.
I don't take this as a
asked-
game. That's
Let
what
me
nobody.
explain this to you
That's what
once
nobody.
again.
You don't got to explain nothing to me.
Okay,
Do you want-
That's
release
what you don't
Brooke.
understand. You think
you want
this
me
is
to
a whole
answer
game
the
to me.
question?
This is not a game to me, Your Honor. Nothing about this is a joke.
I never
That's
said
what y'all
it
don't
was a joke.
understand.
Then why are you acting
But
like
And it's
a
unfair.
clown?
It's unfair and it's disrespectful to me that you think I would come in here purposely and treat this like a joke
Kick
or a
him out.
game.
I never
Kick him
said it
out.
was a
What
joke.
type of
Kick him
statement
out.
is that?
Kick him out.
Mr.
Your life is not on the line. Mine
Kick him
is.
out.
And you think that I think this is funny?
I don't think it's funny whatsoever.
So,
And I
so I
understand.
think, Your Honor, with all due respect, I think you
So
should show
we're
some
going to take a
respect.
5-minute break, and when we come back, the jury's coming out, and you need to call your next witness. Thank you. We are in
No,
recess.
you're not rushing me to judgment. I don't care what you're talking about.
Kick him out. Wow. Ju- I really hope that she does release Erica Patterson. He's only called her to abuse her. The reason he's refusing to call her is he wants to make her sweat out in the hallway or the witness holding area or wherever it is in this courthouse. He's just trying to exert control over her, continue the abuse. He and once again, if he wants to call witnesses in a certain order, he has to procure them. It's his job. The prosecution helped him. They went in time chunks. There's no other witness there right now because he wouldn't tell them who he wanted when. So they guessed. Erica is the only witness there right now. And he refuses to call her. He's just trying to exert control. And it's frankly, it's not going to work. So let's fast forward. Is he going to be there? Or has he thrown such a fit? Oh. Because that seems like it was longer than a 5-minute break that I
After a
fast
short break.
forwarded through.
Appearances are as they were before. I would just note Attorney Opper's not at the table, but I presume she'll be back shortly. I will be advising the clerk to have the jurors brought out. And then I'll ask you, sir, to call the defense next witness.
Can we address subject matter jurisdiction and still have to be proven for the record?
I decline to do so. Your objection is noted.
Is the audio on?
Your objection is noted for the record.
Is the audio on?
Yes, it's on, sir. It's on.
So we're not going to address subject matter jurisdiction that has yet to be proven for the record.
It's been
Or you have
done.
addressed it,
It's
So
done.
you have to
and
prove it
there's
for
a
the
written,
record.
and your
She
objection
will
is noted.
never
Prove
prove
subject
it
matter
to your satisfaction.
That's prosecution proving it.
Oh, okay. Email that to her.
So that's a judicial determination that you don't have to answer that, Your Honor, being a public servant.
I was talking to my clerk. I didn't hear what you asked. The jury's coming in.
You heard what I asked.
I actually did not.
Come on, Your Honor. Come on now.
Shut up.
We gotta cut that out. You know you have to prove subject
You
matter jurisdiction.
need to
know that.
cut this out. The jury is walking
You're
in.
open, you know that.
You need to cut the chatter. Is he going to call her?
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. The defense may call its next witness, please.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to make sure I got the paperwork since I'm being rushed to judgment. That's not right.
I mean, I don't know how it's a rush to judgment wanting to proceed with the case. He's wasted so much time already over the past 3 weeks. If he does call her, I really hope he is shaken.
Go ahead.
Defense calls Erica Patterson.
He's so
Thank you.
mad.
Since I'm being rushed to judgment.
Shut up. And I hope the prosecution I hope it's Objection City. They better
Ms.
protect
Patterson, if you
her.
Please make your way to the witness stand, which is on my right. You may recall it's upper riser. When you get there, please remain standing.
I have a
Raise your right
feeling
hand and my clerk will
they
be
will,
pressing on
and
my left will swear you in.
the judge will.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. Please be seated. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record.
Erica Patterson.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Oh, you want spelling the name?
I believe it's on the record from previously, but go ahead. You can spell your first and last names, please.
ERIKA PATTERSON.
Just 1 second, Your Honor. I'm trying to find some relevant paperwork here. One second.
That's exactly what it is, Darlene. And once again, if I had pulled a tenth of what he has, I'd be locked up. Of course, what good's the threat of contempt when
I'm sorry about that.
you're
1 second.
facing life in prison?
Paperwork. Just had it on the table.
When you're ready.
There's probably, he has been, at least on cross, he was asking based on his fired public defender's notes. They had questions to ask. He could be looking for their notes because it's possible that the public defenders planned to call her on direct.
I'm just gonna start the questioning. I'm not seeming to find paperwork that I just had. on
Well, that's your fault.
For some reason, odd reason.
That's your fault. If you're disorganized, that's your fault. It's not a conspiracy against you. Exactly. He's exerting control.
Good morning, Ms. Patterson.
Good morning.
So what do you do for a living?
I have my CNA certificate.
Did she say
I'm gonna
CNA?
direct your attention to the evening of November 21st, 2021.
He's gonna
Do
open
you
the
recall
door.
what you were doing that evening?
He's gonna open
I
the
was hanging out
door.
with my friend Corey at Frame Park. I had spoken to you, Mr. Darrell Brooks. You came out there at Frame Park and met me after Miss Corey separated from me with her friend. Me and you got into an argument.
Whoa. Pursuant to the question.
She's answering what she did on the 21st.
I was hanging
I
out with
think I
Miss
kind of
Corey.
got a little ahead of.
Ms. Brooks, I'll let you interrupt the answer and you can ask a follow-up. I apologize. I was instructing the clerk to turn up the volume. So go ahead, ask your question.
Same question.
Eh.
What were you doing the evening of November 21st, 2021, before linking up with the alleged defendant?
You're not an
We were
alleged
at the
defendant.
time at Frame Park.
You're an alleged killer.
And
You
what were
are
your roommate doing?
the defendant.
Objection. And grounds for, I object to that and grounds for the objection on behalf of the state.
You don't object to their
Ms. Brooks, we
objection.
did cover many of these topics previously, so if there's new topics, please go for those. I'll give you a little bit of leeway to lay some foundation, but go ahead, ask your question.
That's
The
with you.
objection is, from the state, is overruled. Do you remember the question?
You asked me what we were doing at the party party. Is that your question?
Yes.
We were drinking. I was drinking my card beverage.
Do you recall around what time of the evening it was when you and your roommate arrived at the park?
I do not remember. We left where we were staying a little afternoon. A little bit on afternoon.
Do you recall? Do you recall having any phone interactions during that time when you and your
If
roommate were at the park?
only. If
One
only.
interaction, yes.
Do you recall who they were with?
Unfortunately, it's not a federal
Maybe I
case.
Darrell Brooks.
Of
That
course,
usually the name you refer to the alleged defendant by?
No.
the ADX Florence and State Max are unpleasant in different ways. ADX
Would it be fair to
Florence,
say
it's that
during those,
absolute
phone
isolation.
um,
He's
there
going to be
was
in general
talk of
population at some
you guys meeting
point,
up?
and that'll
Would it
be
be fair to say?
worse.
Yes.
do you recall, to the best of your recollection,
He's going to
What time
struggle
that would
once
have
he's
been?
out of the jail's protective
Yes, I was
housing.
there.
I'm sorry, are you making references to the phone conversations being throughout the day?
Yes.
And so at some point, would it be fair to say that you did meet up with the alleged defendant?
Yes.
That's true, but that
Do you
they're
recall what time that was?
generally going to be serial killers and the
Do you recall
absolute
if you were
worst
still
of
at
the
park during
worst.
that time, or had you moved locations?
Still at the park.
Or, you know, if they
And was your roommate still present with you at that time?
escape
No, she
state prisons and stuff,
went separate ways. I stayed at the park and she went her other way with her friend.
I don't think Brooks at this point
You
would
recall
be
who
a
the friend was?
candidate to be sent to Florence.
I'm assuming, or let me back that up.
And you know who
would it be fair to
assumes.
say that at some point during the meetup with the alleged defendant, things got a little chaotic? That'd be fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, when you gave her a black eye, we saw the picture.
And do you recall if at that point you were still at the park?
When we met up,
Yes.
well, we were at the park for a second, and we drove around.
Where did you drive to?
Around, then me and you, Mr. Brooks, were arguing in the car. We went up this street, it's like a hill, went up there, and then me and you got into an altercation. I got out of the car, walked back towards Frame Park.
Well,
down
wait, again.
Hold on, she's answering your question.
And that was near the White Rock
there.
School.
Yes, ma'am. And then I was walking down the street, and I left your car, and that's when you followed me, and I walked back towards Frame Park. You were following me.
Made reference to walk back to Frame Park.
No,
I
we
walked down the
don't
street, and
want
I walked back down the hill.
Kirby to face charges.
Did you at any time? Sorry.
I
Did you at any
think
time
Bubba, who's already
during
in
your
prison, will be
travel back
sufficient.
to Frame Park? Did you at any
I
time
mean,
notice
I
that
know Kirby wants to hurt him,
there was something going on in the area?
but we don't want
And I was
Kirby
too
to
worried
face
about walking back to Frame
charges.
Park. When I got to Frame Park after I left it, that's when I realized there's something going on.
I would not want to, like, I've seen documentaries of, like, Thai prisons, and I would not want that. See, the problem with that is it would
Did you ever
violate
arrive back at Frame
the
Park?
due process
Yes.
clause for Brooks.
And what did you do when you arrived back at Frame Park?
I called my friend Corey and told her that me and Mr. Brooks got into an altercation. Mr. Brooks was following me. I went back to the SUV.
Don't play his game. Say you were following me, you beat me.
Had walked towards us to meet up with me.
And you made reference to you calling your friends.
Mhm.
Do you recall?
I would not
Wait a
be
minute.
surprised. Well,
Did you call your friend Corey, or
actually,
the friend that she had left you to hang out with?
Corey's phone, I kept calling her phone. Her phone
because
kept going to voicemail.
remember, only one prosecution witness had a prior misdemeanor, I think it was, for Brooks to use as impeachment. But Kirby was his witness, and he was very bad for Brooks. So the prosecution, even if he had a rap sheet, the prosecution didn't need to impeach him on it. That might be why the prosecution didn't call him.
The day prior, November 20th of 2021. Do you recall what you were doing that day?
Well, where I was staying at the shelter at first, I was arguing still with Mr. Brooks all throughout the day.
I mean,
Me and Corey had left. And
for
Corey had
his
left, I went back to Frame Park.
direct,
On Frame Park, so I met you at.
he did remove the
Also,
mask
that's why I was that
yesterday
day,
um,
but we didn't drive around. We were at
to
the-
do his opening, and then the first two witnesses yesterday. So it's not just for her.
So you're saying that you and the alleged defendant
But I think he is trying to control her. Yes.
were together the day of November 20th, 2021.
Yes,
Are you sure you want to go there?
Do you recall around what time it was?
I do not remember.
Are you sure you want to go there, Brooks? You're going to open the door, I bet. And at some point, the prosecution's going to stop helping you. They're going to stop saving you from that door.
And you stated you were briefly with your friend Corey that day?
Yeah, but she went a whole different direction. She didn't come to Frame Park with me. She turned on a whole different street right before Frame Park.
And I know this is hard on Erica. She's doing such a good job.
Do you recall at any time on November 21st of 2021 being interviewed by a Detective Guth?
Yep.
Of course, she's used to
And
his
do you recall
manipulation and control and abuse.
giving a recorded report at that time?
I don't remember.
Do you recall if you had given Detective Guth all the details of the alleged incident on November 20th of 2021?
There have
I
been a
didn't know
few.
what I did the next day when I seen him.
There was someone wearing a yellow mask with a blue shirt, and it looked awful. But he's been wearing it because he tried to delay the start of the trial by claiming, oh, I'm sick. I'm so sick. I can't possibly go forward, but I refuse to take the rapid test.
Funny. Were you aware that
And that's it. It's all performative. He thinks this is his
it
stage.
was reported there was in fact no incident on November 20th, 2020?
That's not true.
Objection, move to strike the answer and the question.
Grounds.
Lack of personal knowledge, hearsay.
Sustained. I'll strike the question and the answer. The reason stated, sir, rephrase, or
So can I show the witness that same paperwork that I intended to show?
no,
It's not her
And why
paperwork.
not?
And this is your witness.
not relevant.
How's it not relevant when that was just testified to? Wouldn't that be opening the door?
Next question.
It's your witness. It's your witness. You can't bash through
Any
the
reason
door
why?
and then say, "Oh, hey, now I can do this." It's if you open the door, then the
It was
prosecution.
reported no incident
can
happened
go
on
through
November
it.
20th of 2021?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Since that's not in evidence. Sustained.
Grounds for sustain.
Assumes facts, not in evidence.
Speak for itself.
So upon speaking to Detective Goof during the first interview, do you recall why you were not forthright with information?
That was not forthright. I just didn't tell him everything right away.
Which is a standard tactic.
I don't know, Mr.
It's
Brooks.
standard when you're reporting on your abuser.
When speaking with the
He
law
was,
enforcement officer,
she was scared of
it'd be fair to say
you.
that you should be truthful and honest.
I was very truthful. I just didn't tell him everything at once on the next day, Mr. Brooks.
She was scared of you. I mean, it is a TH, not an F, but
And in the alleged
It has
incident on
sounded
November
like
20th
goo.
of 2021, were you injured?
No. Well, you did hit me a little, like a little.
Were you injured?
No, I didn't have any marks on me. Is that what you're asking?
from the 20, you had a black
So what do you mean?
eye.
By my lip?
Objection, Ms. Stacey Evans.
Grounds.
I believe the witness understood the question. She answered it. It may stand.
I mean, she did have a black eye. We saw the
Did your
picture.
roommate observe any injuries from the alleged incident on November 20th, 2021?
She knew about it. But there's nothing visible on my face.
Do you know if your roommate had spoken with law enforcement about these alleged incidents
I
from
don't know.
November 20th of 2021 and November 21st of 2021?
Call the roommate. Call the roommate. Ask her.
Did she ever tell you yourself that she was interviewed by any law enforcement?
I don't remember.
Once again, it's so stupid of him to call her unless he thinks there's other information she has. He's just rehashing his cross-examination. He's not bringing anything new in.
So what time
Just-
did you meet up with the alleged
Yeah,
victim
you
on
hit
November
me.
20th, 2021?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Morning time?
Afternoon.
It's
hear
it goes back over 20 years. I think there's 17 separate charged events. Like I don't know how many counts in each of them, but I think there's 17 separate times he's faced charges. And I realize you meant to write rap sheet, but the E there
And what were you doing prior
is appropriate
to the
because
alleged meeting up with the
she was
alleged
15 when he impregnated her.
Sustained.
He was 24.
grounds for sustain?
Has been answered.
When?
Next question, please.
When was it answered?
Oh yeah, he's a standard abuser, coward. Men intimidate him. I mean, like I've said, according to his driver's license, he's
So to the best of
5'8",
your recollection,
140.
You can't recall why an alleged incident on November 20th of 2021.
That's about
or-
my size. I'm not a big guy. And bear in mind, that's
Since that's not
140,
evidence,
150
characterizes
with
her
one
prior testimony
leg.
And
I'm not a big
I
guy.
object to that respectfully and
He's
next
ask for a
question.
legal finding of fact and a legal reconsideration of that ruling, Your Honor.
well, as you can see,
Noted for the record. Next
she's
question, please.
tiny.
I'm trying to figure out how something got pulled out of thin air.
Generally, there wouldn't be. Lots of times, there's no statute of limitations for it in general, even not child.
So it'd be fair to say that you have
In California, the reason Danny Masterson is facing
child in common with the alleged
char-
offender. Fair to say.
Yes.
charges now for 20-year-old
Child in common?
Yes.
Yeah, the other two?
misconduct is because it's
Nothing
3
to
or
do with
more
the case.
incidents of the
Hold on,
same
there's been an
thing.
objection. Not relevant.
But
Sustained.
One,
Grounds for sustain.
he
The record speaks for itself. Next question.
was convicted
Not
of
relevant.
it
I was not relevant.
15 years
Next question,
ago.
please.
I was not relevant. The child that you have in common with the alleged defendant. How old is that child?
15,
Do you keep regular contact with that child?
off and on.
Describe what you mean by off and on.
I'll object.
Grounds.
This is not relevant.
Not relevant. Sustained. It's not relevant, sir.
She answered it.
It's not relevant.
Next question, please.
And the child in common that you have with the alleged defendant,
No argument.
is that child here with you?
No.
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevant.
Sustained, not relevant. You don't have to answer that.
That's true.
Do any of your children live with you?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevant.
Sustained,
Grounds for sustain?
not relevant.
Her children are not
That goes
witnesses to your
credibility.
crime
Child is not relevant
that you were charged.
The objection has been sustained.
for relevancy. I object to that and would like to inform you that I intend to appeal that decision unless you want to give a legal reconsideration of that ruling.
Noted for the record, I direct your attention to 906.16, and the basis for the objection being sustained is it does not fall within the categories listed. Next question.
Is that lawful law?
Yes,
Next
the
question.
rules of
This
evidence.
is lawful law.
You have to ask
Wisconsin
relevant
906.16.
questions. That's not relevant.
Okay.
He's just trying to abuse her and make her look bad, asking those questions. It has absolutely nothing to do with the incidents of November 21st.
Where did you meet the alleged defendant?
Reno, Nevada,
How long have you known the alleged defendant?
16 years.
You made reference to meeting in Nevada. Do you recall where you met at?
Reno.
No, I don't remember.
It'll be written in crayon. Or he'll misunderstand, and when he hears appellate brief,
In relation to
write
the
it on
alleged
underwear.
incident On November 21st of 2021, would it be fair to say that there's been no contact between you and the alleged defendant?
Not since then, no.
it's almost like you couldn't call her from jail. Like, they don't allow you to call your victims from
That
jail.
last answer was kind of low. Did you say no?
I said no, not since then.
So that would mean, assuming, that would mean no contact at all via phone or anything like that.
No.
She said no.
So my question would be, I don't know if you can see them from here, but do you recognize these pictures?
You need to show those to the state. The bail will take them. It's not
Those
proper procedure.
pictures are not relevant. They appeared to be of children.
I'm going to object to those being shown to witness. They have no relevance whatsoever to this trial.
Yes, they do. And I'll get into how they have relevance.
They've also never been disclosed to the state before this one.
Sustained,
It's the same way.
not relevant.
They are relevant. It creates foundation. And I can prove that.
I'll take up the issue outside the presence of the
The
jury.
children
Conclusion of the
are
case
not
may be reviewed
relevant.
expecting, but next question, please.
And these need to be offered into evidence as well.
No, they
You
don't.
stated that there's been no contact.
That's irrelevant.
How would the alleged defendant obtain photographs from you if there's been no contact?
Objection.
Grounds.
Assumes fact, not the
Grounds.
Sustained. Assumes facts not evidence, not relevant.
I
It's
mean,
not relevant. Photos just don't pop up out of the blue.
they could have come from your
Assumes facts not
mother.
evidence,
You know,
And
it's-
at this
facts. I
point,
got the pictures
conduct
right here,
after
facts.
the alleged date of violation here, it's not relevant.
It,
Alleged violation.
It's
You're correct.
not
After the date
relevant.
charged, the dates that are charged for these allegations, you are absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Hey, it's warmer than that here. Of course, we might get snow this weekend, especially up in the mountains.
Have you, since the evening of November 21st?
All right, we're back
of
in real time.
2021, have you attempted to contact the alleged defendant?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
He said
I'm
relevant.
going to excuse the jury. I'll rise for the jury.
And once again, unless he's going to somehow get into, well, yeah, we've been in constant contact, and I just don't. How is any of this relevant? Her contacting him. It has no bearing on what happened on the 21st of November.
Thank you. Be seated.
Awful funny.
It's awful
not
funny.
Hold on. All right, sir, I'm going to let you make an offer of proof as to why you believe the photographs and the questioning about contact after the alleged incident is relevant.
It's relevant because these were sent by the witness.
But how is that relevant?
It assumes a fact, not an evidence, but
You
what
want
is,
the letter
hold
too?
on. Tell me the basis you believe there's been communication and why you believe it's relevant to
I just
It's-
hope
it's
we're having our
relevant
Halloween
because it was
party
testified
tomorrow,
to
and it's better outside than inside
her
because
first
it's
time
going to be
testifying,
crowded.
and then also by was the last guy Guth, that he was told that the witness was supposed to be so deeply afraid of me and all this type of stuff. So if you're so deeply afraid and worried about somebody and this and that, why would you seek
Did
to
you
have
want to
contact?
open up the door to the other act's evidence of?
That's
not
No,
opening-
no.
That's not
Hear me
opening the
out.
door.
It is.
Hear me out. Oh, yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
These witnesses have been incredibly careful to abide by my rulings. Sometimes in a court of law, when there are pretrial rulings, the testimony of a witness needs
Exactly.
to be said in such a way not to run afoul of that. This witness, Detective Guth, I believe Detective Casey.
If you're
and
trying to
others,
get into
Corey
how
Rungle,
scared
and
she is of
even,
you,
Nicholas Kirby yesterday.
That opens
this
up.
court has all had to stop them so that they didn't run afoul, or they stopped themselves so that they didn't run afoul.
once or
of the
twice I
court's
did.
Pretrial ruling.
I also
on
remember
other
doing
acts
it in
evidence between you
short sleeves.
and this witness. And I've been very, very careful to make sure that doesn't come in. But if you keep questioning her about whether she's afraid or not, or
I
why she
didn't
wouldn't
question
have
her about that.
contact or
I
not,
didn't
you are
question her about
opening
that.
the door to that testimony. All of
How
my
do- how
rulings
does-
have
how
been
does-
made to prevent
how
what
does
could be
pictures
seen
matter?
as prejudicial evidence. The standard's not prejudicial. The standard's whether it's unfairly prejudicial.
It's
But
Exactly.
you can
prejudicial.
open the door
Your
to
Honor.
that.
Exactly.
sir.
Unfairly prejudicial.
Prejudicial.
Because everything you bring
I have
in, you
a-
want to be
a
prejudicial
Stating
to your
that
opponent.
November 20th never even happened, but yet and still the witness
Then
can
have
get on
you
the
turned
stand
that
and lie on the
document
stand.
over to the state?
Come on, man. Y'all know that's not right.
It,
Y'all know that's not right.
It's his jailhouse lawyer.
then you
it's-
need to immediately turn it over to the
every
state
jail
right now.
has
It may become
a guru
relevant, but
that-
no one has seen it.
Says, I swear this
When
works.
did you receive
but
the
so that's-
document?
the question
Hold
that
on.
should be
When
asked
did-
is,
I'm
well,
having
then why
you
are
make an
you
offer
in
of-
here?
When did you receive the
Okay,
document?
but that I just want to stay for the record, Your Honor, that's kind of biased because
No, it's
the
not.
state did the same thing yesterday with creating an exhibit right on the fly that didn't even exist that I didn't have. But
That's
then
not true. That's
They
a
had
mistake.
foundation
that is
for
true.
it.
No.
she
They
said it
had
herself.
foundation for it. It was
Marking an
already in
exhibit is not
evidence. It was
creating
No,
in
not
your
marking the
discovery.
exhibit. She said
That
We're not
video.
gonna go
Essentially-
down
These
a tangent,
photos
sir.
All right.
I'm
weren't in
focused on this,
discovery.
and I'm gonna
It's
give
not
you the
fair.
opportunity
It's not
to make
fair.
a record.
It's not
Right.
fair.
These
Not
photos,
When
I'm
did
assuming,
you
were not
receive
in
this
discovery.
document
They-
that you claim was sent by this witness.
It-
There's
it's
no
not
foundation for
claim,
them.
it's
The
for a
video
fact.
the state
Sir,
produced
it
and
hasn't been
evidence from
established yet. I need
was
to make a
already in
record.
discovery.
Y'all want
I
the
wanna
letter?
see
Y'all
the
want
letter.
internet? What?
I want to see the letter.
Okay, so I gotta.
And I wanna
so
know
now I gotta
when you
bring that in.
received
So
it.
I gotta bring that in. Every time, this is what I don't get. Every time I'm presenting something that needs to be made for the record and placed in the evidence, it's a problem. But the state can
That's
do it, no
because
problem.
you're not
Sir, there are
following
proper
the
procedures,
procedure.
And I
Okay,
want
well,
you to
that
make
was the
a
proper
record.
procedure.
If you don't make a record,
So
then
what?
I can't make a
It
ruling.
threw people off a loop. They weren't ready for it. They scared of it. That's what it is. Come on, man.
Mr. Brooks,
Come on, man. Stop.
when you
Stop
are
You
Stop it.
stop.
You're a
letting me
public
ask the
servant, Your Honor.
questions.
I respect your courtroom. I
You
respect you.
No,
You're a public
don't.
servant, though. Your
She's
job is to
not
be the
your
referee.
servant.
Is it or is it not?
Her
You
name
stated
is
so
not
yourself
Jeeves.
on record.
She
that
is not
job
your
to be the
servant.
umpire.
Your Honor, can I ask Ms. Patterson please be excused?
Yes, you can be excused. My apologies.
My apologies too, but it needs to be some truth. Especially when we're talking about stuff that didn't even happen, but they're allowed to get on the stand and say that it happened when they know it didn't happen.
So I'm going to make
I
a
mean,
record about what
this
he's
is
referring
ridiculous,
to
man.
in count 70.
At some point, it needs to
Okay.
happen.
The
And what happened to that paper? Because it was on the table. Then when
Stop
I came back
I
in,
need to
it
make
was
a
on the
record
interrupting
of a
her.
variety
You
of
So who
things,
took my paper?
asked.
and you keep interrupting me repeatedly today. I have shown an abundance of patience this morning. I've warned you repeatedly about being removed from the courtroom.
It's beyond
And
time
then
to
every time I
shock
try to
him.
get into it, you
Except he hasn't
set me
been
an
violent.
explanation and make a
I thought he
record. You
came close
interrupt.
this morning.
You attempt to divert everyone from what is being done this very second.
I didn't say
Exactly.
anything.
Yes, you
It-
do it repeatedly.
It's
sir.
offensive.
So you're doing it once again.
Whatever. Just make your record.
The document that Mr. Brooks wanted to show Detective Guth and this witness was a letter sent from the state of Wisconsin to the court regarding count 77.
Which was dropped.
The state sought to dismiss that count, and they have prosecutorial discretion. And I granted the request that the charge be dismissed.
Why was the charge dismissed?
Because
And
they didn't
that's-
want to charge you with
I
it.
can't answer. It was dismissed because the request was made, sir. They don't need a reason. There's an abundance of case law about prosecutorial discretion. And they chose not to pursue that. My
Right.
guess
Therefore,
is maybe to
all respect,
simplify
don't
things and to
litigate
keep
it.
this tidy. I don't know. You know what? I'll indulge you. Attorney Upper, would you like to provide a basis for why the state sought dismissal of that charge prior to the start of this trial?
Yes, Your Honor, because as Ms. Patterson just testified a short while ago, she did not have any visible marks or injuries from that event. And we did have the photographs of her injuries. We did not want to confuse the record
Everything
as
is
to
a
whether or not it
conspiracy
was a
against them.
battery that occurred on November 20th.
Your Honor, I object to that. What does the letter read?
It's irrelevant.
You showed it to me, sir.
And I've been trying to find it ever since I came back in, and now all of a sudden I can't.
And now
find it.
you're impugning, though, like somehow you're impugning the integrity of this.
Your
court, the bailiffs of the state,
disorganization
you're
is
accusing
not a
basically
conspiracy
everyone of
against
moving
you.
your papers.
Did I point the finger at anyone? Did I say anyone did anything?
Not directly, but indirectly you did,
So
sir.
how can you make
You
the assumption
made-
that
It-
I'm saying?
Can
that
I
I'm
please
pointing to
make the
someone?
record?
Your
I'll be
Yes, you
interrupted.
disorganization
I
is not a
apologize.
conspiracy.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But you made repeated comments, sir, about I can't find my documents. I don't know what happened, things of that nature. When you came back out, you took multiple minutes before you even asked your first question of Ms. Patterson. And if I need to, I will have a bailiff put on the record that no one touched your table.
Your Honor, did I say anyone?
It's
touched
getting
my
close
table?
to that.
I didn't
You
say you.
implied it, sir.
But did I say that?
You implied it.
I never
You stated
said.
it implicitly.
I never asked the bailiffs, hey, did any one of you touch my table? I never said that to them. I just said I can't find my paper, which is the truth.
And the way
looking
that
down.
you said it,
He's going to find a
Like,
bigger
hmm.
I
predator
didn't
in
point
prison.
anyone
With,
out,
though.
though.
He,
and like,
I
well,
don't
that's
think
kind
that's
of
fair.
interesting.
I don't
I don't
think that
have a
that's fair to
document that was
assume.
just on my table. That is what you said.
That's
Words
what
to
I
that
said, but
effect.
I did not point the finger at anyone.
So
I can
you
see
have
if
the
I
letter.
came in, Your Honor, with
You've
all
been
respect,
given,
I can see if I came
I was
in
late
and
this
said,
morning because
hey, one of you moved
Brooks
something off
didn't
my
set
table.
my
But
alarm
if I would have
clock.
directed that towards the state, or if I would have directed that towards the clerks or something like that, then it would be,
or because I hit
that would
snooze a
be
couple
more
times.
validity to what you're saying.
I need to continue with the record, sir.
Exactly.
It's very apparent to me, sir, that every time, I can't say every
They
time,
need to
because that
just
would be an
stop.
absolute, but many
Let 'em-
times
let 'em
throughout
run
this
through the
trial,
door.
especially the last 2 days, when the court makes a ruling
They don't
that
have
you
to
disagree with,
take
or I
advantage
want
of
to
it,
make a
but
record
just let
about
them go
some
through, just in
behavior of
case.
yours, or a further record about a ruling that you that was not in your favor, that you start peppering me with questions
True.
or comments, statements. You question me about the law. You ask, is it verified law? It is, from my perspective, a clear
My
attempt
inability to fall asleep
kinda
last
turn
night,
us in a
causing the snooze
direction
button, is
away
also
from what
Brooks's
we're
fault.
doing, perhaps even to stall and to delay.
I'm sorry
That's
you
my
feel that way.
that I'm making a rule. You're doing it again.
I mean, because it has no validity.
So I am trying to make a record outside the presence of the jury about a line of questioning you want to ask Ms. Patterson.
Which is completely
I've
irrelevant because it's about charges that were dismissed.
repeatedly up on the bench, 90608 and 90616, which are two of the primary ways you can attack credibility.
The credibility
I
of
referenced
your
one of those
witness.
previously. 90608 is evidence of character and conduct of a witness. I'm not going to read through it all, but it's limited to character for truthfulness or untruthfulness. It's not specific instances of
Come on. Once again, I'm plugged in.
character
This isn't
evidence,
Wi-Fi.
which frankly wouldn't even come from the witness who's testifying. All right, then there's the statute on bias, 90616. All right, and none of the questions, as I heard them, went to a permissible topic under bias of witnesses. You generally said credibility. You did not give me any further explanation as to why you believed it was relevant to credibility. Now we have you claiming that there's some document that was sent by the witness.
I merely
after
hope
the charges were
he
filed.
spent 70 years eating
That apparently
Nutriloaf,
contained photographs.
moldy Nutriloaf,
And you can clarify the record momentarily when
no
I'm done.
sandwiches.
That you believe goes to the credibility.
His days of pocket
this witness.
sandwiches have
So I
ended.
need to ask a few questions about that, sir, to determine whether it has relevance to those issues. Number one, when did you receive this letter?
I received this multiple letters actually over a period of time. It wasn't, I referred to this one because this one had the pictures. But
And why do you
the
believe
one,
it was from
to
Ms.
answer your
Patterson?
question, to answer your question with clarity,
Thank you. Does it have a date on it? The letter?
no, I didn't bring the letter, I brought the pictures. Because I thought from
So there's no
my
foundation.
interpretation, I thought showing the pictures would be okay. How did
That's no foundation for the pictures.
My mind was saying show the pictures. They didn't come out of thin air.
They might have come
Witness
from
knows
your
that They
mother.
sent me the pictures. They know
They might have come from her mother.
Again, it assumes facts that aren't here.
It might have come from the 15-year-old child.
But even if she did, what relevance does it have to her credibility before this jury?
It goes to the credibility because she's put on this facade of being so afraid of someone, but yet and still, you know that we're not supposed to have contact, but you still sneaking behind and saying, "Oh, I wonder how you're doing," and oh, this and this and that. Oh,
I don't think
you know, I
she's
still
ever
love
said
you.
she was
Oh,
afraid. I think that was the
It would.
officers who may have stated that, but I don't believe she
But-
ever said that. She specifically said today when you asked her why did you, it was either why did you go back or why did you have, I'll look at my notes, and she
it was
said,
why
I don't know.
it was why weren't you forthright with all the details?
The
That
doors
was the question.
certainly won't
So
slam
again, I'm
on
gonna ask
him
you,
anymore.
even
They'll
if This letter's
Clink.
from her, these pictures
Latch.
are from her. How does it
Your
relate to
Honor.
her credibility before the
Who
jury?
else could
He
it be?
is
Who else
the
could these pictures be
human
from?
embodiment of neutral oath.
I'm gonna ask you point blank, did you get a letter that's signed from her?
I got. What do you mean sign? No
How
one
do you know,
signs letters.
what's your, why do you have a belief that they are from her?
I have multiple letters from her.
You're not
But
answering my
you didn't
question.
bring them
Why do
in.
you believe the letters are from Erica Patterson?
Because they were sent from Erica Patterson. Why else would I?
Were they signed by her?
What do you mean sign?
Did she write her name on the letter? Was
Are
it the
you-
content
are
of
you
the
kidding me?
letter? No, I'm not kidding you. I need to make
You
a record
need
here.
a
You're
foundation
making a
if you
statement
want to
that
bring
these
them
letters
in.
are from her and that they're relevant
They're
to her
still not
credibility.
relevant.
Your Honor, I'm gonna go out on the limb here.
And I'm
But
asking
you
why
didn't
have
bring the
to-
letters in
I'm gonna
anyway,
go out
so
on
you
a limb
can't
here.
admit them for evidence.
Assume, which I know is true. You've never been in my position. You've never been in jail. So you
They
never
eventually
received a
brought
letter
her out. She's in the
from someone
hallway.
writing someone in jail. No one is gonna when you
You're
say
not
to me,
answering my
when you
question,
say to me,
sir. What's the basis why you believe they're from Miss Patterson? Is there some information in them that only she would know? Did she sign the letters? Is it penmanship that you recognize? Why do you believe they're from
Some
her
still
as
do
opposed
have
to somebody
chain
else
gangs.
sending you information?
mean,
Could be your
why-
mom, could be, I'm just saying,
why
could be
was
anybody
somebody-
else.
I think it was
You gotta answer
Grip.
the question. It's
Your
called an
Honor,
offer of
this-
proof.
but you
someone a
still
few
gotta
minutes ago
understand why
mentioned
this
Maricopa County.
This is
So
mind
that would be
boggling.
jail, not
Like,
prison. But
I got a child with this
under-
woman. Why would I not know her handwriting?
what's his
But you have
name?
to
Why
lay
would
a
I not know
foundation
The
for
former
these
sheriff,
letters,
they
sir. That
they
might
had
be
chain gangs
your own
out in the
testimony. So that I'm
Phoenix
trying to
heat.
figure out why you believe they're from her, not all this other stuff
Are
about
you
I'm in jail
serious?
and I have a child. I'm trying to I need to know. It's called an offer of proof.
Are you serious?
And then
What do you believe?
in
why do you
Louisiana,
believe
they still
they're
have
from her. I am serious.
Parchman
I need
Farm.
Because
answers.
they're from her.
prison,
But you're assuming
Like
that.
how else am I
which
supposed to
is
answer that?
basically a
I've
huge
given you a
farm,
few reasons why it
huge
would
prison
lend to
campus,
that.
which is
So
basically
it
a
has
farm,
to be,
I
it has to be
think.
put in a legal
The
term
bottom
or
line is I
something?
need the letter. So if you're gonna question her on that,
But
the
most
state
prisoners are going to be
absolutely has a right
given
to see the
some
letter.
sort of labor to do,
So
whether
you-
it's
you need
mopping
to provide
floors
that
or
letter. I'm not,
in
the
the
bottom line is I'm not gonna
work,
allow any questioning
prison
without
wood
having that
shop,
letter.
maintenance, whatever.
So
The
what
state
about
has the ability to question you about that or question this witness and to look at the veracity of what your claims are here.
And if you don't have the letter, they can't do that. So
So-
it can't come in. There's no
When
foundation.
I may take an early lunch.
Keep rolling your
If
eyes.
that's in your cell, then you can go get it and bring it. But without that letter, I'm not allowing this line of questioning.
It's irrelevant anyways.
Do you
He's
have the
so
letter with
mad.
you in court?
I just said no. How many
Okay.
times I gotta say the same thing on
Then
record?
it's
You know,
irrelevant
sometimes,
because you
sir,
don't
I
have
hear
it.
what you say because
So
you
stop
interrupt me
arguing
so
about
much,
it.
or you answer quietly. And I'm taking notes and I'm focused on probably a dozen things at the same time.
But if I say something under my breath, everybody seems to hear it. Everybody seems to hear
In a
that just
quiet
fine.
courtroom,
And
yes,
everybody
we can
assumes,
hear it very
and
clearly.
everybody assumes that it has to be disparaging. Or,
Once again, you're doing this tactic where
because
you try to
it's not a
go
tactic,
off
it's
of what we're
facts.
talking
It's
about
facts.
to some other reason.
It's facts. Because
some
I
other
find it hard
Everything's
to
a
believe
conspiracy against him.
I'm gonna
all
let
of
the
a sudden
state.
All
nobody hears
biased.
what I say.
I'm
with
gonna
a
let the
T.
state
Okay,
make a
stop.
record of why they
Stop.
believe it's objectionable because I haven't let them do that. I've given you multiple opportunities to tell me why you
So
believe
I
it's.
It's
didn't get these
objectionable
pictures from
'cause it's
nobody
irrelevant.
else. Why was
The
somebody
record will
else
reflect you have two pictures that you believe were from this witness.
that I know is from?
No, that you believe.
That I know.
All right.
There's no
I'll ask the
foundation
state their
for
position
that.
On all of this.
My position, Your Honor, is that these pictures, first of all, should not be admissible. One, because of a discovery violation. We've never seen them before.
Exactly.
Two, because we have reason to believe that he did not get them from Erica Patterson. He is on a jail phone call talking to his mother, Dawn Woods, about Dawn Woods sending these photographs to him. Now,
That's a lie. I object to
Let the
that.
state make their argument without interruption, sir.
That's a lie, though.
three, I believe that these photographs are designed to make a suggestion to the jury that Erica Patterson is a bad mom. I think that is what the defendant is trying to do. And if we're going to go down that road, then we would be forced to counter that claim. First of all, it doesn't make her an incredible witness, if it's even true. And second of all, if we go down that road, we would be forced to counter that claim by pointing out that not only does the defendant not live with the child in question, he doesn't live with any of the other children that he has.
So it's opening
He
the door.
impregnated Erica Patterson when she was a minor in Nevada.
And was
In
charged.
doing so, he was convicted of statutory sexual seduction, pled guilty in March of 2007 to that felony offense, and is a sex offender on the registry as a result.
Yeah.
So if there's any causation that would lead to Erica Patterson being a bad mom, Mr. Brooks has a direct role in that causation.
And that's,
Furthermore,
I object to that,
I'm not
because
done.
that's a lie.
Let him
Because at the end
finish.
of the day,
Let
The
him
prosecutor
finish.
didn't
This is
interrupt
Since you want to
you.
make a record and not be accurate, so let's be accurate all on the record since you think you know so much.
Once
So
again,
we can
Mr.
open the
Brooks
door
is
on,
being
we can
loud,
open the
Remove
door on
him.
how old she told me she
Send
was
him
in
out.
that.
interrupting.
Send him
We
out.
can ask that question
He is
too then.
over the top
Send him out.
animated
Do you
right
know
now.
that?
Mr. Brooks, I'm ordering you to sit down and to let the
No,
statement.
Ain't
no,
nobody
I'm not gonna
order
sit
me
there and
what
let
to
somebody
do.
get inaccurate on the record and lie on the record.
Right. Under Illinois versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the
Good.
courtroom. And you know what? Let me dial that back. We're just going to take an early lunch, 1 hour. We'll be back. And unless he brings that letter, and he
Don't
can
sit
show
there and try
it
to
is
think you know
inadmissible,
what's
will
going on.
not be questioned.
up.
And under 906.11, I will
Then you gonna
declare
talk
the
about where my kids
cross-examination.
live. You don't know where- you
closed.
don't know where-
That
Thank
wasn't
you
a
for bringing
cross-examination.
that
That
one
was
up.
direct.
Get your facts straight. So let's open the door on all of it then, so we can get all of it on the record.
Are
Since
you
think you know
serious?
so much.
You want to open the door so they can
Did
bring
you know
in
she
that
said
you're
she was
convicted
18 when I met her?
of
Did you know
seducing a
that?
minor? You really want that on the record? He is the stupidest person alive. Like I said, it's not his fault. His density caused a black hole, sucked all the victims in. They hit the car because of the gravity anomaly. It- I I'm speechless. All of this over something that's completely irrelevant. I mean, she didn't bring up fear of him. And yet he's trying to impeach her on, "Oh, you're so scared of me, but what about these?" And I mean, like I said before he even called her, when he was talking to his mom about the ring video, the prosecution will bring in the jail phone calls to impeach him, and he somehow doesn't think they have the jail phone calls of him talking about the pictures with his mom. But it's a lie, so yeah. I do too. I've commented on that before, but I understand once the judge says we're off the record why they turn the cameras off, but I'm sure there's still extracurricular activity going on because he's ridiculous. But with that, I'm going to go take an early lunch too. So I'll kill this stream. I'll be back in a little under an hour. So I will see you guys for the afternoon stream. I'm sure he'll be even more ridiculous than that. So thanks for joining me this morning. I will see you in a little bit.